I can tell a little bit about what happens in the market, on the market in general, right? Like people keep saying like, oh, it's gonna fall, but we don't feel it's falling. It's just a little softening, right? So what happens right now in San Jose, because so there is a many tiers of the pricing of the properties, right? Like, so there is a properties which are above 1.1 mil, the properties which are at 1.5, the properties above 2 mil. So, and what happens right now, because of the forbearance, and it ended in many um, cases, right? So a lot of homes which are on a smaller tier, they will start coming up on the market. And San Jose, you will see like this added inventory to the market, right? So, and we see there is like some choices, and you can still go after a home which is under 1 mil. I mean, like, let's say it's listed under 1 mil, but yes, you have to bid. So, and in general, yes, there is still room to grow in San Jose. And people who search for homes in San Jose, the growth is there, right? And the bidding is there, but it's not insane like it was like a couple months ago. So we can see on this slide that the home prices are growing in San Jose, they're not going down. So it's just softening by bidding, like what people put on a house of a list price. And medium days on the market. Yes, on average, if it's a really good house and a good neighborhood, it's not going to last long. So, and it's going to go really fast. So, even I would show you more examples on the next slide.
Great.
Okay, that's a good graph which shows San Jose today, right? Like at 2021, right? You would see on the left side how much in percentage people used to bid over list price, right, in San Jose. And right now you would see we are in November. Like if you see the last one should be November, right? So we're going
Yes.
down in San Jose. It doesn't mean people do not bid on the homes, they just put less money on top of a listing price, right? So like it doesn't mean there is no bidding wars. It just eased bidding wars, right? So they still putting money on top of the homes. I mean, like of the listing price. And it
Okay.
just shows us how the graph changes. And you would see this curve, right? It's going down in the percentage wise. People don't bid so much anymore. Yes, San Carlos, very specific situation. I can tell you a little bit about San Carlos. So what happens right now, right? Like with the tier, like with the homes which are under 1.5 and the homes which are above 2 point something, right? Like 2.5 or 2.2. So it's a different tier prices, right? So what we see, if some homes at the lower range come on the market because of forbearance programs are stopping and so on, and so people have to sell their homes and become a renters and so on. But if there is like a higher range homes, a higher price homes, specifically in San Carlos, on average, probably today there is maybe 3 or 4 homes for sale above like 2 point, I mean, like under 2 mil, right? So, and
Mm-hmm.
like just imagine 4 or 3 homes on a whole city market, right? So recently I submitted an offer, and there were eight offers on the table, we lost. So as soon as the house comes on the market at 1.7 or 1.8, like I just recently submitted preemptive, we got lost. I mean, like, so people move really fast in San Carlos. They submit preemptives even this when the listing agents say do not submit preemptive, and it moves really really fast because there is only like 4 or 3 homes on the market at the price range from 1.7 to 2 mil. And when we talk about San Carlos, people bid not a little gap, right? They come with 400K on top, 500K on top, and growth, there is a big growth in San Carlos, and like I think it's gonna come up in the price even more because there is nothing, literally nothing to buy. And so I've been on open houses, and you would see like about 80 groups of people running from one house to the next one. And so you would meet the same people at the next house, right? And there is only 3 or 4 homes on the market. So yes, San Carlos grow. I mean, like goes very strong, and mostly because there is no inventory. It's insane. But yes, on actually what I noticed lately, majority of my buyers who go on a higher tier purchase, right, they can't, it's actually more difficult to get home on a higher tier purchase. So I noticed if I would go, if my buyers would be under 1.5, it would be easier for them to get in a contract at today's market. But if they are at the higher tier, it's really difficult to get in a contract. So
Well, let me ask you this. Why is it more difficult to get into contract for a higher range property? Is it because of a lower number of properties on the market, or is it because there are more buyers in the higher end?
there are more buyers on a higher end. There is less properties on the market to buy. Let's say San Carlos, there was like four properties on the market and eight people submitting for each, almost each home, right? So out of these eight people, and like I've been working with my clients in San Carlos for like a couple months now, and I noticed, like every time I would say like, okay, eight offers on this house, and then, okay, this house went pending. So on the next house, it should be less buyers, right? So it should be probably seven or five, but it still ends up with the eight offers, right? So next one ends up with the eight offers, next one ends up with the six offers. So there is still buyers and they're adding and adding to these cities, right? And the cities are still desirable, but there is nothing to buy at this price range. And people bid big on in San Carlos city. Okay, and that just shows like how many homes sold in San Carlos, right? Like, so not a lot, and there is nothing to buy, not like literally. And the days on the market, yes, it's less days on the market. As I say, a couple days ago, I just, like, because I've been so discouraged, like from shortage on the market, I went and started to search on MLS. So I found a house which was visible only to the agents. So by the time I called the agent, he said he already have a preemptive on his hand and he had none of the documents ready. And I said, wait a second, you haven't been even on the market and you just put it on MLS. And he says, yes, I do have preemptive. So I drove, right, like within a half an hour I was in San Carlos with my clients to show the property. And from the house I submitted the offer for the home, right? And still, like it's, you, in some cases you just have to act really fast.
Well, let me ask you this. I
Mhm.
know sometimes in the MLS listing, the listing agent might say, we don't entertain preemptive offer, and yet they entertain preemptive offer. Have you ever seen that before?
They do, and like from my couple days ago, the same situation with the San Carlos home. So this agent, I called him like twice within a week. I said like, hey, would you take a preemptive? He said strong no. So I called him again. I said like, please take our preemptive. He said no. And then like 2 days later, I was on the weekend with my family. He called me in the evening and he said, hey, some agent just submitted preemptive and I have to present it to my sellers. Do you want to submit an offer? So yes, and by the time I prepared an offer, they already signed. So and I talked to the agent couple hours later and he said, you know what, I'm so sorry, and I know a lot of agents say do not submit preemptive, but like we just have to do our best. Next time please submit your preemptives, because some agents are very aggressive and they just come with the preemptives. Yeah, so here it's another slide. It just shows how much over list price in San Carlos this year buyers bid, right? So you can see on this curve, it's going only up, and it's not going even down. So there is a the time on the market of the homes is very short right now because there is nothing to buy and people bid very aggressive in San Carlos. Yeah, so that's just example how it was in 2020, right? Basically, if you would see on this curve, in the months of December, we will see November, right? Like how it's going down, right? It's seasonally, you would see everything going down. So we would see example of 2019 on the next slide. Yeah, so you see the curve again going down at the end of the year, and we will go to 2018. It's just a good example of what happens with the seasonality and a shortage on the market. Yes, the same thing in 2018 when it was in November, December, the curve was down, right? So this is what happens like usually in the seasonal market at this time of the year, but not this year, right? And why this happens specifically? Because there is only four or three homes on the market as of now at the range of like 1.7 to 2. So basically there is nothing to buy, and people bid like highest as high as they can. You know, so it's insane. But yeah, it shows inventory how it actually was in these years, right? Like you would see on the graphs, the the very last graphs they showed December, right? Like, and on 2021 it shows November. So if you compare like the months of November, the lowest right now is in 2021, and that's why you would see this curve going up because there is nothing to buy at today's market, right? And people are ready to bid the in the highest possible just to get the house in San Carlos right now, and which is insane. But yes, it's true. And well, I see uh, potential growth in San Carlos in the future, and I think whoever buys there, there is like a lot of developments going, and people develop their properties, they build, they rebuild the old homes, and I think there is a big potential in San Carlos in the future. Yeah, and that's an interesting story here too about Mountain View. So I do have a client in Mountain View as well. So Mountain View has a big shortage in the market on the inventory as well. So single family homes, yes, you could see a little curve, but people still bid on homes. I mean, like above asking price. So you would see that the single family homes, I mean, like the sold homes, got higher. Yes, so medium list price, again, they are very short time on the market, and whatever is on the market, if it's a good property with a good location and it shows well, people will bid on it and will bid fast. So just to tell a little story from my experience, recently I submitted preemptive, talking about preemptives, right? Like I submitted a very strong preemptive for Mountain View home. So, and the seller refused to accept it. So they basically been waiting for the offer due date. I drove actually to this property when it just hit the market, and we submitted like within 1 hour of it to be being on the market. So, okay, I tried to call the agent multiple times and saying, just accept our offer. It's very generous, very strong offer. Just, accept us. But they've been waiting uh, till the offer due date. And so it was a very stressful time because at the last moment, right, like when the offer due date was like noon, I called about 12:30 to the agent and I said like, hey, what do you have on hand? Do you have like higher than this price? She said, yes, I do have higher than that. So we improved our offer, which was preemptive offer, resubmitted it, and so so basically I reached out to her, like I was calling her every 5 minutes, like literally, like every minute. I mean, like, so I called her and I said like, so tell me, what do you have? She said, I had four offers and three of them very close to your price. Basically, the second offer was exactly at our price, and then one guy came close to our price. So they were between us and the other contract, so they've been going and calling lenders. Meanwhile, I call my lender and I said like, so offer them something, offer earlier closing. So my lender was calling them, I was calling them. So we've been like on a phone, on and off. And then my client says like, okay, I'm ready to put like more on the price. So I improved my offer. Like I throw the offer on top, like resubmitted it again. And it's like, hey, we came at a higher price. Please work with us. And I actually was like literally texting and calling the listing agent like very often, and my lender was on the phone, like assuring that we're going to close in timely manner and we're going to go and move really fast, expedited. So yeah, and we got in, and it was insane, but it was a very stressful hour, but we did it. I mean, like, it's insane, but yes, I'm super happy and excited for my clients. and it was a hard. And so basically, even in Mountain View, right, like there was a four offers, and they've been substantially higher than the listing price. So it's not, we don't talk about 100K, we talk about like higher than 100K. And it just shows the graph on the Mountain View how much people bid over list price. Like it was the highest when they bid in October. Right now it's a little bit less, but still there is people who bid insanely high, right? So it just showed that we still in a bidding war. It just the price of a listing price, how much they put on top of the listing price, right? That shows on the graph on the curve.
Yeah, I can see that the sale price versus listing price insanely high ratio. I
Yes.
mean, it's like 116%. Maybe it
Mhm.
drop a bit, little bit, okay, in November, but
There is
it's
nothing
still
to buy.
insane. All
But
right, let me ask you this then. Recently, you got one accepted in Mountain View. Tell us about your success story on that
well, that's what I just told. I mean, like we've
one.
been
Okay.
working with my lender, and yes, if you are submitting an offer, do not just throw your offer into email of the listing agent. You have to constantly call the agent, make your lender call the agent. And I strongly suggest, if you're preemptive, like if you work with preemptive and you put a preemptive, they don't accept it. And then when you resubmit at the time of the when you submit an offer, let's say they will set the time at noon, do not submit exactly at noon. Have your package ready and call the agent. Sometimes the agents, they will direct you, right? Like they don't disclose the price exactly, but they can tell you, like, sometimes I say, like, do you have 2.1? They say like higher. I say like, do you have 2.2? They say like, yeah, because you don't blindly believe them, right? Because I know already my an analysis of the area and how much high it can go, right? And what the property is worth. So basically, when they tell me, I'm pretty sure they have two offers, and at least they can direct you with give you some pointers, and you can improve your offer like within like 5 minutes and redraw it and resubmit.
Yeah,
Then you might.
you did exactly the same thing that two of the buyers did in my commercial listing. They are
Yeah.
very aggressive. They will keep prompting you. Well, is this price? Or if I go in at this price, what chances do I have? So
Yeah.
they will keep asking you questions, pushing, pushing. So some listing agent might give him and tell them, hey, you know what? For me, I don't care. I tell them the truth because you know what? More higher price is better for my seller. So I'm not afraid of telling them what is the highest offer I've received at the moment because I know I could get a higher price than that from them. So I think it helps to keep prompting the listing agent, especially the ones that are willing to share. Okay.
Yes, and some agents are actually, yes, they helping out, and like even in what was a problem is, when I was submitting in San Carlos, majority of homes in San Carlos, they trust sales, right? Like, so basically, if there is a two or five trustees, agents, they do not do counters. So you basically throw your offer in, and then you don't wait for the counter because they don't counter. And so we lost on a couple homes just by 40K, or like by 10K, which is like really upsetting, because my client would go higher, but then we didn't get a counter because in trust sales, I think agents right now, they don't want to go and like do these negotiations with five trustees or three trustees. They just will accept the highest one, the best offer, and they would just go. And also, uh, that's another advice, like you, if you're going to submit an offer, call up the agent and ask, if there is a multiple offer situation, are you going to counter or not? Is this like going to be your highest and best right now, or you're going to give a chance to my clients? So you have to find out about it beforehand, so you don't like be stuck in this situation, because it's very upsetting when you submitted the property at 2 mil and you lose by 40K. It's like, it's upsetting to me personally as well, you know. And yes, you have to be more aggressive with the market, and just do your best. And I think this is the best what we can do for my clients. And actually, when my Mountain View offer was accepted, the agent, she so the agent called the lender of the offer, which was like exactly the same price like ours, and the lender was from Wells Fargo, I think, and she didn't reply. And my lender called in, and he assured, like, we're going to close in time. They discussed it. So this is a big item too, because they wanted to close in timely manner, and my lender assured about that we're going to close. And then the listing agent, when she accepted our offer, she called me in and she said, "You work really hard for your clients, and we're just gonna go with you, and we just see how hard you fight for your clients." And like, it was, I mean, like, it was stressful, but we did it. And it's, you have to, like, you have to do your best for your clients. Yeah, and just it's another graph which shows what happens with homes. As I'm specifically talking today about single family homes, right? We all going, I mean, like, we still growing, and like, looking at the shortage of homes, we're not gonna see like homes falling in price, right? Like what maybe some people expect to happen, but there is nothing to buy and a lot of buyers on the market. And I know some people probably will be discouraged, and probably because of the holidays, they're gonna go traveling, they're gonna go celebrate these holidays and so on, and take a little time off. And actually, yes, some of my clients, they decided to take some time off from the house hunting, because it's so stressful. Like, every time they would put an offer, somebody beats them like by 200K on top of they like 200 which they put on the top of the list price, right? So yes, some people are discouraged. Some people, like, with the holidays, it's probably going to be like a little softening. But like, if we're going to keep with the same short inventory at the beginning of the year, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. It's insane, but yeah.
Tell
um
us a little bit about what it means to a buyer to have the kind of curve we have for home value index.
what it means for the home buyer. So it means, if you are on a market to buy, if you are like seriously looking for the home, you probably have to take advantage of these holidays, right? Like, yes, I know there is a short market, I mean, like, shortage on the market. But if there is some home which is like specifically this holiday time, if you would see some homes which are hanging on the market, and then, because like, some people might take a little time off, some people, like, you have to not to be discouraged, but to keep looking. Because if we're gonna get into the beginning of the year with the same shortage on the market, we're just gonna keep growing. If the rate is not gonna change, we're just gonna keep growing. And why? The reason why I'm saying, because some people at the beginning of the year, they get bonuses, right? They RCUs are opening up, they like it, there are going to be more strong buyers on the market. That's what I would expect at the beginning of the year. So, and maybe possibly some homes are holding off on the sales, right? Like, they think what's going to happen at the beginning of the year. But it doesn't mean at the beginning of the year, if they're going to put these homes on the market, there is going to be none of the people who want to buy. There is going to be a lot of people who will want to buy. And that's just my projections. The homes are not going to fall in the price, right? They're just going to keep climbing if we're going to be in the same situation all the time.